depends on where you find that a look at this.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
All right, thank you for staying with us. You're watching Daybreak on Trust TV. Now, time for us to take a look at the dailies on Daybreak. We'll begin with the Daily Trust newspaper, where the headlines there, of course, as expected, talks about the presidential broadcast and also a proposed strike, proposed protest by Labour. It says Labour faults Tinubu's broadcast, insists on tomorrow's protest. The writer says we will intervene on our policies if necessary, says President. Announces 200 billion naira for agri interventions, 75 billion naira to strengthen manufacturing sector. President's broadcast deceptive, says Atiku, and also Senate leadership to meet presidency, NLC over planned strike. You have the pictorials there showing you entrance of Oyo State Government Secretariat, Ibadan, blocked by workers in the state led by the NLC and the TUC to protest hardship being faced by the workers over removal of fuel subsidy on Monday. Now you also have above the lead story, Wike, Kyari, 5 others take bow as Senate screens 14 nominees on page 11. Super Falcons to earn 46 million naira each for picking World Cup round of 16 ticket on page 31. You have also Saudi airline resumes full services, launches new aircraft in Kano on page 19. Below the pictorial, scramble for APC's vacant positions intensifies as NEC meets tomorrow. 83 persons die, 836 infected as diphtheria spreads to 8 states. Undergraduate, 2 others jailed for gang raping cousin on page 17. Also, you have Dangote Cement reports 950 billion naira Pan-African revenue. So these are the main stories on Daily Trust this morning.
All right, let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. It has a lead story that says Tinubu attacks hardship with 500 billion naira palliatives, and beneath that we have an infographic to show how the money will be distributed. We also have Labour insists on nationwide mass protests from tomorrow. Boko Haram terrorists kill 5 farmers, injure 1 in failed ransom deal in Borno. Still on the Vanguard, Senate holds screening of 3 ministerial nominees over alleged forgery, age falsification. And just above the masthead, we have tension as ex-Emir Sanusi's portrait reappears in Kano Government House. 11 suspects arrested as Fintry relaxes curfew, visits looted warehouses. We also have subsidy removal. Tinubu orders federal institutions to stop arbitrary fees hike. Supreme Court, NBA Obaseki Umba mourn as Justice Nweze dies at 64. These are the major stories on the Vanguard newspaper for today.
All right. Now, taking a look at the This Day newspaper, the lead story there, it says Tinubu bemoans state of economy, says after darkness comes glorious dawn. Also above the masthead, Labour insists on nationwide protest from tomorrow. You have President holds decoration ceremony for service chiefs. Nigeria seeks WHO's assistance for emergency deployment against diphtheria. So these are the main stories on this day today.
Let's look at the Punch newspaper. Subsidy pains. Labour insists on protests as Tinubu okays 500 billion naira palliative, 3,000 buses. We also have gallant Falcons pocket 1 billion naira, reach World Cup last 16. Fuel price hike, drivers threatening to dump Bolt Uber. And just beneath the pictorial, we have residents groan as medical workers desert collapsed Ogun Healthcare Center. Abductors collected 350,000 to release me, says Ondo kidnapped victim. Niger junta arrests top politicians. Germany withdraws aid. These are the major stories on the Punch newspaper for today.
All right, on the Guardian newspaper, Tinubu justifies reforms, unveils 500 billion naira package to ease pains. You also have the breakdown there that the president intends to embark on. Labour, FG meet again in last attempt to stop tomorrow's protest. Concerns over MAFAP's delayed 5G development operation. You also have Niger coup. Group warns ECOWAS on danger of military intervention. Super Falcons earn $600,000 each for making second round subsidy. Time for sacrifice and responsible governance. You also have Senate jettison's promise of thorough screening for ministerial and nominees. Well, these are the main stories on The Guardian this morning. We have Dr. Theophilus Abba, the guest reviewer for today. Dr. Theophilus is the director, Daily Trust Foundation, here with us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Yeah. Well, the president has kept to his word. He promised that the 500 billion naira will be reviewed going by the resistance, or I would say the protest that Nigerians, the reactions that trailed the idea that 8,000 naira palliatives will be shared. And then the president promised that it will be reviewed. Now it has been reviewed, and we have seen the breakdown of how the president intends to spend that 500 billion naira. Talks about farmers, talks about enterprises, talks about MSMEs, talks about the purchasing of 3,000 CNG buses and the rest. So what do you make of the president's broadcast yesterday? I know we've talked at length, but then this is a chance for you to say it.
I think it was quite good that the president decided to come out to talk to Nigerians, because there's been so much tension after the first broadcast on the 29th of May, and people needed to hear what the president was going to say. My own worry is that it's like he didn't say anything really new. When he said after darkness, that poetic expression, after darkness comes the light of dawn and all those.
Glorious dawn.
Glorious dawn. So we've heard that over and over again. For those of us who are getting old, in the days of SAP, Obangida was telling us that with SAP, you endure some pains, and after that, there'll be glorious Nigeria, industries will be available, foreign direct investment will come in. It didn't happen. The last regime, or even up to the last moment, was talking about, this hardship was for our good. Then the hardship is mounting, and we are still being told that there is another dawn, I don't know. We keep hearing about a future that never come to be in Nigeria. So it's quite, I wasn't really impressed. Because number one, the subsidy for every year was gulping about 6 trillion. 3 months, we were supposed to spend 3 trillion in the first 6 months. Then another 3 trillion the second half of the year. That would be about 6 trillion. Now, if this subsidy was going to go up about 6 trillion, why are you giving us 500 billion naira as a kind of palliative? Now, that is one. Secondly, I'm thinking that, if you look at the subheads, how the money will be spent, it's like, is the industries, the elite, and the friends of politicians that will benefit. Now, one of the things that I thought this government would do was to deal with unemployment. And very easy approach to it. Why don't you lift the embargo on unemployment? You see, if you go to hospitals, doctors are overworked. Yet we have many medical doctors who don't have jobs in this country. We have shortage of teachers. There's no area that you go to, there's no sector that you go to in Nigeria that you don't have short for. You would think that because we have teachers training colleges and college of departments of education or faculty of education everywhere, we don't have teachers in this country, not enough teachers. Now, if you say, okay, you want to help to distribute this money, one of the ways you do it is by, granting jobs. I thought I would hear something about the minimum wage being increased. We kept hearing that there was going to be about 200,000 and here and there as minimum wage.
He said that hasn't been agreed upon yet.
It has not, okay.
By the Labour. So once that has been agreed with Labour, then in the next budgetary allocation, it will be budgeted for.
Okay. And then, one of the things that I thought I would hear, which I didn't hear, was about accountability. Now, he was telling us right from at the beginning of the speech, how some clique benefited, was reaping the nation of, our money in the name of subsidy. He talked about that of oil subsidy and that of dollar, the dual exchange rate or multiple exchange rate. Now, you see, why are we saying, why is the president complaining like an ordinary Nigerian? If some persons have got money they ought also have got, why are we not bringing them to book? Why are we not asking why are we not asking them to account? You see, because everything he said yesterday were not new to me. Because even as journalists, we've done multiple reports. This thing is fraudulent. This multiple exchange rate is fraudulent. This and even we're talking about CBN, that the balance sheet of CBN cannot actually balance, because a lot of things were done wrongly. Palliatives or whatever grant we give it to organization, we give it to Nigeria, we're not getting to Nigerians. We had people who were just there collecting. These people, Nigerians are aware of these things, but what are we going to do? It means that these people they have stolen the country blind and they have gone with it. So we say, okay, now you go, enjoy yourself. Then you now come and start talking about a new set of grants. We are going 200 billion for this, 500. You see, those are not the kind of things that I expected, to hear from the president. Now, if you have discovered that there was fraud in subsidy, why are we not bringing those people who are against the fraud to book? Why are we not saying, okay, you stole so let's even audit the NNPC or PPPRA account, find out who got what and who did not deserve, and retrieve this money. So I'm feeling that he needed to do more. He needed to do more to convince Nigerians that look, he means business. And I don't know, I'm not there, but when I read the speech, I was thinking that it wasn't well thought out. That was my own thinking. That if some person sat down and said, well, let's not put this together, let's put that together. Okay. I don't think there's enough groundwork, for the kind of thing we're expecting from the presidency.
All right. The NLC, despite its meeting with the government representatives yesterday, said, well, we're still going ahead with our strike. It looks like the president's speech did nothing to, give that sense of hope or to say, that reassurance to Nigerians and the NLC. So do you think that the NLC should still go ahead with this protest, and what will be the impact?
Well, I'm feeling that if you beat a child and you say the child should not cry, I think you are actually asking him to do what is impossible. You see, Nigerians are feeling, serious pains as a result of what he has done. Even if it is to demonstrate that they are not happy, you understand, the NLC should go. Should embark on the protest to even show that Nigerians are not happy, because it's like, well, the president spoke to us, and then we believe him. We believe him when we are feeling the pains. You see, you have come up with this policy. Agree. A lot of people say, oh, there shouldn't be subsidy. Okay, there's no subsidy. But how would you cushion the effect of this, in the country? How would Nigerians begin to live, maybe not comfortable? How would they balance their lives? For instance, you see, many Nigerians can't afford to eat. Many can't afford to eat. Many, what they earn, they use to transport to their place of work because they must go to work. And then you are now saying, okay, they should not complain. They must complain. And part of part of complaining is the NLC, the leader, the one that leads the labor union, to protest, to say, look, we don't agree with what you have done. Because there's much more to do. There's much more to do to win the confidence of Nigerians that actually really mean well. You don't just making statements.
Yes, the president acknowledges the lag that exists between the pronouncement for the end of the subsidy and these interventions coming into play. However, he also plead with Nigerians to, be patient and wait and all of that. So,
unfortunately, you see, others have pleaded with Nigerians to be patient, and we were patient throughout the 8 years of Buhari, expecting something to happen. Nothing happened. You understand? If you look at, from the time I began to read newspapers properly, from the 90s when IBB was there as president, we've been told to be patient. We've been patient. And our problems keep mounting.
Dr. do you think that Nigerians are approaching this government and this issue with their experience of the past?
Of course.
Because this is just 2 months. And the president is calling for patience. Some persons will say,
Nigeria,
in 2 months you can be patient.
Yes, we will see it again and again. It doesn't happen.
Is it possible that this can be different though?
I don't see it being different because what he said is not new. You understand? When you say you are giving some grants to some manufacturing sector, we have seen it. Some governments have given 200 billion to textile factories. They never came on stream. You know, if you look at they have even the agriculture. The Buhari government intervened in agriculture. They pumped a lot of money into it, but we discovered that it is not really. It's not on the sound foundation. You know, you talks about different sectors we are supported, but it didn't bring that kind of revival that we expected. So you see, when you say you are giving 1 billion,
is there any quick fix to this? Really, the president said, well, he wished there are other ways of doing this, but there is not. So, is there any other way of doing this? I think
we have said this again and again. You know, the first thing is to do. To put the horse before the cart instead of the cart before. If you were going to remove subsidy, you know, before you did it, find out what areas will this affect Nigerians. If it is a matter of increasing salaries, raising salary, you have to do that. If it's a matter of providing transportation, buses and train service and all this, you ought to do them. Then importantly, you see, the idea that you need to import this fuel must be overcome. If you wanted to support Dangote to begin to refine products that we can sell at maybe a relatively lower price in Nigeria, you do so.
Yes, but then, at the moment, nobody is talking about the refineries.
Nobody is talking about the refineries. You know, the NNPC told us that, by the first quarter it will work, it didn't work. Second quarter is now we are told that, before the end of the year. You understand? So the problem is that over the years there has not been accountability. And then we say the new government comes with new policies. We are not even sure the policies are not being seen to be properly thought out. You know, and we are hearing the same story. You know, the Buhari did the same thing, give palliative to do this, give grant, give some small. Those things are not helping us as a country. And you must go beyond those things that we already know to convince Nigerians that, look, you are going to be different. As far as I'm concerned, I've not seen anything different. The only thing I've seen differently being done is this courage to say, I remove subsidy, I remove this. Yes, it's good to be courageous, but then the nitty-gritty of it, there is a whole lot of work that needs to be done to ensure that these things come up with the kind of fruit that Nigerians will benefit from.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Theophilus Abba, for your thoughts on this. A number of issues, really, but I think on the front burner today mainly is all about the president's broadcast and the NLC's proposed protest, which is going to happen tomorrow, except if there's any other information to the contrary. And you may say that the president is quite strategic and timely with his address. It comes just when the NLC and the TUC are threatening to, go out, on protest, and when they were accusing government of being insincere, to the process of negotiation as agreed and all. So, well, thank you so much. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you.